everybody, and welcome back to the Legacy of the Wizard aRPG tutorial. So, a while back, you may remember me talking about the previous X, previous Y variables when we were talking about your doors and whatnot for the character object. So, I kind of glossed over it back then and said I'd talk about it in the future. Well, now is the future, so I'm going to talk about it today as we talk about how we set up the shop, the item shop. So let's get cracking on this. First things first, we are going to need to create a new object as usual. Object, let's see, object shop underscore entrance. Alright, this is just another door object here, so let's go over to our world door and go into our room, our overworld, and put that in right there. So it should be just in line with the rest of these things. So what I've got it set up with right now is that as you climb up the ladder, once you reach the top, you have to press the up key again to enter into the shop. At that point in the original game, you would just go right into the shop once you got up to the top, because they didn't have a second, they were just doing a keyboard check rather than actually a keyboard check for press or anything like that. So we're going to go back into our player character here, and we are going to add in the code for working with this door here. And it's pretty much going to be exactly the same as any of our other ones. So let's see here. Yeah, it's going to be pretty much exactly the same as the cabin door thing. So we check to see if our B-box bottom is touching the shop entrance, because we want to make sure that the bottom of our character is there so that we know we're on flat ground when we try to go into the door. And of course, object input dot up pressed, which again, I put in the object input underscore up pressed instead of just checking for X underscore input being 1 or something like that. But oh well. Could have done that way, but I did it this way, I guess. So what does this do here? We set our global.previous room equal to room. So that means that the global.previous room variable is going to be set to the room overworld. This lets us know when we exit the room which room we want to go back into. Then global.previous x is equal to our x position. Global.previous y is equal to our y position. Now, why did I do that? I did that because you can actually enter the shop if you jump and you kind of press up when your character's bottom is right there. You can enter into the shop, and then you can be put back into the main world from there. And that is a legitimate way to avoid fall damage. If you're falling from a very great height onto a shop, you can enter into the shop and then exit again, and you won't take any fall damage. Anyways, so previous X, previous Y. If we were standing right here, that'll give us a previous X, previous Y of wherever our character's origin is. So something right there, but just appear that we're standing straight on the ledge there. Then, of course, fade transition. Go to object input dot state equals input states dot none, because we don't want to be trying to move around during this transition. And image speed equals 0, because again, we don't want to be trying to move around when we are doing this. We don't want to have our character animating. And I could have probably made a state or something that actually just did this too, but didn't do that. Alright, so let's see what next. Once we get that in, we're going to need to make a shop object. So let's go and do that. Object underscore shop underscore item. So just for our sprite for this, go into the world and use sprite solid. And let's pop open the shop room. So in the shop room, we have, again, an asset layer that has a background and the shopkeeper sprites just there. So nothing else right now. So first thing first, we're going to want to pull over a shop item and position it right there. And drag and drop so that it's this big. And we're going to want to do that again, because there are 2 items in each shop. Now, if you were doing the full game here, you would probably have multiple shop rooms, and each shop room would have different items in it. Or you would have just one shop room, and you could then have a variable that says, I just went into shop room 1, so make these items, or I went into shop room 2, so make them different items, etc. Different valid ways you could do this. We are also going to need a exit as well, so just a regular door object should do for that. And put it from here and drag it all the way across, because the character can leave from any position. So what is the point of having these things sort of spread out across like this? Well, to select a shop item, your character walks over and presses A when they are near the item. And I figured that it probably just means that where if your player walks over this area, then a collision check between the two would come up as true. So then you would purchase that item when you check to see if they're colliding, and you press A. So let's go back into the main room and let's actually code this item so that we can get it working. There's also some create code that'll go into the shop room as well. So let me pull up the code for this. First things first, and this is fairly simple. We are just going to make a color here real quick. Orange underscore equals make underscore color underscore RGB 255.160.0. This is the color that we're going to use for the background of our text in this room. So next up will be the draw event. And again, this should be fairly simple. If sold out, exit. Sold out is going to be one of our variable definitions. So sold out underscore is equal to a Boolean. And we want it to be false by default because we don't want it to be sold out when we first go into the room. So if it is sold out, then don't draw me, I don't exist. And so what do? We draw sprite underscore inventory items, item number. So we need to go over here again, variable definitions, add a new one. Item underscore no is an int. We don't need it to be a real or a float or anything like that. And this is going to be something that we set again back over here in the create code. Then text align, FA right, vertical align, FA bottom. And these are kind of subjective, really. I mean, you could kind of align it anywhere. You just have to change the X and Y position to make it match it accordingly. Then we set our draw color to the orange color that we made earlier. Draw the text X plus 33, Y plus 32, string price underscore plus GP. And again, set our color back to white and move it over by 1 pixel and draw it again. That gives us a nice orange background highlight. And again, like I said, we have a price. Again, that'll be an integer. And price underscore. Alright, so let's go back over here. Variables. And for this purposes of this tutorial, we'll go with item number being 12 here, and price being 30 gold pieces. And variables. Again. This one is 14. And we'll set this one as 50. Alright. So, next up, we need to add a way to select things in this room. So, we are going to need an inventory selector type thing, except now it's going to be the item selector. So, the item shop selector. There we go. There it is. So we just come over here to the inventory selector and duplicate you. Shop for selector. And it's going to have most of the same stuff here. See, we're going to not need this stuff because we aren't going to be drawing all of the inventory background stuff, so we can get rid of that. We just have our image speed, our move speed, and we go over to the step. And again, if alarm 0 is equal to 1, and I don't believe we need the draw stuff either, so we can get rid of this too. Just need to go through our step and make sure everything's good here. So movement should be exactly the same as our previous movement setup. Change my animation. That should be the same. And if place meeting object door, then fade transition, except instead of going to ARM overworld, we will set it to global.previous_room. That way we can use that variable that we set earlier to go back to our room. So if we made the shop in the dungeon, we'd go back to the dungeon, and if we're in the overworld, then we'll go back to the overworld when we leave the shop. And speed equals 5. Again, that should be the same. And we are going to clamp our movement again. It's going to be slightly different bounds because we don't want to go beyond the counter. So we have 32, 207, and 189, 210. And I believe that is everything for movement, so we can get rid of that. And next up, choosing items. Well, it's kind of similar to this code, except not completely, because we are making some slight differences. Because we are actually buying these items instead of adding them to our inventory. So, well, we are technically adding them to our inventory. It's just adding them invisibly because we are not going to add them to the active inventory. So var underscore item equals instance place underscore object shop underscore item, not shop A. We're not fancy here. If item does not equal no one, then if object, okay, yeah, we're going to need to be referencing our stat object here. So object stats dot gold underscore is greater than or equal to underscore item dot price. Then add the item to the inventory. Object underscore stats dot inv underscore amount underscore item dot item underscore no plus plus. And take gold object underscore stats dot gold underscore minus equal underscore item dot price. And then underscore item dot sold out underscore is equal to true. And audio underscore play underscore sound underscore pause 1 false, because apparently the pause sound is what plays when you buy an item. Then audio play sound underscore items unselectable. That seems about right. And we don't really need that. And I think that's pretty much everything. We should be good to go. Just need to go over here to the shop and add our new shop selector to the room. So, yeah. Just make sure I review this real quick. Yep, so if we're in the shop and we go out to the and we go into here, let's see, where's the door object? Oh wait, you're meeting with the door object, not the player, so that doesn't really matter. I need to make sure though that the player object, when he is created, his position though is updated to match the new position that he should be in the room, because we're not saving where he was in the room when he entered into the shop, but we are going to put him back to that position when we recreate the character when we come back to this room. So just come here to my code real quick. Back up here to the very top. If global.previous_x does not equal 0, then x equals global.previous_x, y equals global.previous_y. Alright, that should properly position the character when he comes out of the room. Let me think if there's anything else that I need. I'm not thinking so. So let's go check this out. There we go. Our character selector is able to move around. We have 50 gold, so let's buy this item here. See, it's all gone now, and we can't buy it anymore. So let's exit. And our character is right where he should be. Great, so everything seems to be working just fine. So everybody, good luck with your coding and have fun with your new shop object.